Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. It's Billified, the Bill Moran Podcast.
Well, hello and welcome from the Connors Cave. We are so happy to be a Bills losing fan.
This guy's got jokes over here. I gotta go.
Greg's on camera with it.
Kevin, don't forget your hat.
Let's go. Oh, man. The sad Pats fan because the Patriots won, and the only thing that's affected is their pick in next year's draft.
You know what? We kicked Buffalo's ass today. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, right.
Screw the Bills. They kick their ass. Go rest of the AFC.
This loss could have generational reverberations.
See, now what I thought,
This loss for the Bills to the Patriots could have generational reverberations for the Patriots.
It doesn't really affect us at all because we're still in the top three.
But you're not number one. You don't hold the draft hostage.
We don't need the draft hostage.
We
want a receiver.
There's only a couple of quarterbacks in this draft, though.
So
we don't need quarterback. We need receivers.
But that's not the point, though. Somebody needs a quarterback, and you would have controlled the
had
cards.
the number one.
You would
pick.
have been in the driver's seat. You would have
Kevin loses
now
his sense of humor so quickly.
He does.
Because he knows.
That was such a great opportunity for him to rip on me because we were talking before we came on the air is that Dan's mother-in-law, I think it was, said,
yes.
Why are
you notice all the Patriots fans wearing bags on their hats?
Yeah.
And she texts my wife. I don't know why she didn't just text me direct. She didn't want to bother me.
By the way, when did that bag get created, by the way?
About 9 seconds ago.
Danny did it?
No. After we were talking about it.
I'll tell a great story.
Did you create it?
I did.
You did that?
So Beth's mom. So Beth.
I thought for sure somebody upstairs did
So he was
it.
doing it in the bathroom.
My wife.
Getting his mom food.
My wife.
Yeah, he comes downstairs, goes, I got to get my mom food, and then runs to the bathroom. And Kevin and I look at each other and go, what?
Boston Bruin.
My mother-in-law texts my wife. She goes, why do they wear bags on their heads? And Beth goes, I don't know how to answer this for my mother. Can you answer this for her? I go, yeah, because they're embarrassed to be Patriots fans, but they want the owner to know.
Danny said either you're so ugly you don't want to be seen, or you're a fan.
Well, that's what she says because I know that's what it means. What's it mean to wear it at a game?
Yeah.
So I thought it was a great opportunity for Kevin with his great sense of humor to say, you're so ugly, Greg, you had to put a bag on your head. But no, he went.
Kevin, why would I be disrespectful in your basement, Greg? I would never.
Wait a second.
Oh, please.
The first time he's ever disrespectful.
In the studio, I'd be disrespectful. In your house, I can't do that.
Oh, my God. Look at this.
No,
we were talking about it. I was so respectful last year. I went outside when we beat the Bills' ass.
Yes, you did. You did last year. But actually,
smoke cigarettes.
You said no.
I kicked
This is the same guy that walked into the man cave with his Patriots
whatever
WWE headgear.
Only because I told you I was going to when I bought it, when I sent you the picture when I bought it.
Yeah, but you went outside last year because the game was stressful.
I went outside because it was just hot in here, and I wanted to cool down.
Yeah, so I don't. He likes to play that of being respectful.
Totally.
He asked you were being respectful.
Well, that, and we were driving, and I wanted to cheer a little bit, and I didn't want to do it in here.
He didn't want me to lose my shit and kick him out of the house and turn the TVs off.
I think Greg actually would be respectful enough not to do that to you.
Greg almost speared me in the freaking hot tub last year when we scored.
That'd be weird.
I was literally fearing for my life when Greg came out.
Was there room?
He had like this rage look at his face.
I did have a rage look, and I was, but I restrained myself.
He wouldn't have.
I did restrain myself.
Oh my God! If you had pushed him in, I would have laughed. So
it would have been like
I was serving some bullshit workers' comp the next day. I don't even know what that means.
It would have been just like the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer commercial with the show. Bumbles Bounce.
Yeah.
I hate all you people.
Oh, but now, so what do we think the Patriots will end up with the third overall pick?
It depends on, I think, what Jacksonville does. They're in overtime right now, and Mac Jones sucks, so they'll probably be at 4.
I'm wondering if some of these picks get traded because maybe you don't have a need for, let's say, a quarterback. I mean,
there's not a lot of quarterbacks.
You're looking
coming out.
Cleveland at 1. They'll take a quarterback. You're looking at Tennessee's in the top. They might look at a quarterback. You're looking at the Giants need a quarterback.
The other thing too is that
the Raiders need a quarterback.
The hottest quarterback in the draft is Shedeur Sanders, which is Deion Sanders' son.
He's the hottest in the draft.
He and Cam Ward's the kid out of Miami.
Really?
Those are the two biggest quarterbacks. It's not a quarterback-rich draft.
No, I understand.
And they say next year's in the 2027 class isn't even much, or 2026 class isn't much better. But they say that, and then things end up evolving and change. But the point is, I mean, the Mahomes draft that year, like everybody said, there weren't any quarterbacks, and Mahomes was taken. And actually, until he screwed up, Deshaun Watson was pretty good too.
I think
Yeah.
Shador is going to be the biggest boss to the NFL.
But
You think so?
Absolutely.
I'm worried about him.
Deion Sanders wants.
No, you don't think so?
Deion Sanders wants to control where Shador goes.
Yeah. I mean, look, just look what
He's Archie.
Well, he
Well, I mean,
thinks he is. It doesn't
Archie
matter.
Manning.
the
The
Mannings.
Mannings.
By the way, he does
Chargers.
think he's Archie Manning.
He does.
Yeah.
He thinks he's more than Archie.
I mean, look at Sam Bradford. I mean, he was nothing. You get into the when
Sam Darnold.
when you get put into the right system and yet and your talent and your skill set can be optimized, you can do great things. That's what he's done this year with the Vikings.
Well,
So if you go into the wrong system, which is what Manning was trying to prevent from his son going into, was it Indy?
Chargers. Yeah.
They were horrible.
Yeah, they were horrible. But you bring up Minnesota. Kevin O'Connell, it was talked about on Fox Sports today, is a coach that some teams are considering trading for.
Yeah.
Because he has 1 year left. He hasn't re-upped.
Right.
There's been no talk. And could Kevin O'Connell end up
coaching the Patriots.
well, I mean,
Coaching the Giants, going to Dallas.
Coaching the Bills when McDermott screws up the clock in the playoffs.
I would love O'Connell
I'm
to be
telling
head
you.
coach. Anyway,
Yeah.
Sean McDermott's job is as safe as Andy Reid's.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's safe.
It's safe as
He's
Andy
not,
Reid.
he's not
I
like,
don't care.
like Cowherd was saying this week. I'm like, Colin, check your sources.
He
dude.
doesn't have.
You don't know anything.
No.
why would
Yeah.
I didn't hear?
I think Sean McDermott's in trouble. And
No.
John Middlecoff, the guy you talked to, who was a scout for the Philadelphia Eagles, says, "Oh yeah, I think it's right. I think you're." I'm like, you guys, do you have any sources in Buffalo? And I understand if you don't, because Buffalo's not exactly a place where they have a lot of like hot media. And I'm not knocking the media. I'm saying it's not a big market, but we know this. Sean McDermott's not going anywhere. Period. You heard it on this podcast, literally this podcast first. Greg said it. He's not going anywhere.
Terry is not going to dump Sean McDermott.
No,
not happening.
He's
you
not.
can't at this
He's not.
point, right?
This team hadn't won an AFC East championship in 20 years,
And they've won 5 in a row.
and they've won 5 in a row.
Right. I mean,
And they've done it because of one person. Well, one person was the original architect of it.
yes.
Yeah.
Bean and McDermott are on the same page. They have a lot of similar values, a lot of similar concepts. McDermott's not going anywhere.
No.
Now, will the Bills Mafia, now keep in mind, we're going to win it this year. This team is different. This whole vibe is different. Things are different in Buffalo. I think this team is going to make it happen. If it doesn't, and there's other things, and we don't get an evolution towards that, then maybe there's some disruption. But then it can come down to, is it injuries? I mean, look, we beat the Steelers last year in the first round, the wild card weekend.
Yeah,
and there was a good decisive win, but we lost 4 players in that loss and the win.
It was a Pyrrhic victory.
It was a Pyrrhic victory. We go to Kansas City. We almost beat them. We had the opportunity to win, and we lost. Well, okay. You can't control that stuff, and you can be the best coach in the world, but you can't control injuries. So,
well, that's the tough part. It's like they can't get out there and execute the plays.
Yeah.
They can't make the plays. They can try to go through and
had
the others
AJ
coach
Klein.
other guys up.
we had AJ Klein last year guarding Travis Kelce.
Right.
Are you kidding me? The guy came off his couch 2 weeks earlier.
So-
He's almost as old as I am. He's trying to guard one of the most athletic tight ends in the history of the NFL.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. So,
Well, I'm hearing Mike Tomlin, since you bring up the Steelers, is another coach that I don't think the Steelers would ever let him go. He won a Super Bowl in his second season with them. But they're talking about, could he be traded for? Not fired, but traded for. Would the Steelers be open to a trade for Mike Tomlin? Which I don't remember coaches being traded for other than
Gruden and Belichick.
Gruden.
And Belichick.
Yeah.
Oh, Belichick?
Belichick was technically traded for.
Oh,
Parcells was in charge. Parcells was the head coach of the Jets.
Yeah.
He was going to hand it off to Belichick. The Patriots faxed a request to the Jets famously, and Belichick and Parcells saw it come off the fax machine, and he threw it out. And word got out that because they talked to Belichick's agent, they said, "We want to interview you," and Parcells put the kibosh on it, and it led to, he goes, "Oh, if you want to talk to him, it's going to cost you."
wasn't there a press conference where Belichick
He
was
said,
in?
"I resign as HC of the NYJ." He put it on a piece of paper, handed it in. They thought he's being introduced as the head coach, and he announces that he's not going to coach.
Right.
He's leaving.
Right.
And so that led to a huge uproar. That's why the Patriots and Jets ownerships like hate each other and have for years. Belichick didn't want to be there. He didn't want to work for Woody Johnson, period.
Well, do you blame him? Obviously, he's a smart guy.
To bring it back to Tomlin,
Well,
I don't know why anybody would want to trade. I think Tomlin, I think he's good for Pittsburgh.
I do too.
But I don't know that, like, for the rest of, the guy could coach, okay, but he's also been blessed with a great front office. Fantastic front office.
Well, they don't seem to have much turnover at all.
No.
The Steelers.
They've had three head coaches 50
right?
years.
Yeah. So
Think about that.
Right.
Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike
Right,
Tomlin.
right.
They don't want to do that.
Well,
They
the
don't
other thing is
turn
that the Steelers now have been in the playoffs. I'm not a Steelers fan, but I think they've been in the playoffs 13 of the last 14 years.
Yes,
Okay.
and they haven't had a sub 500 season since 2003. I mean,
21 years.
That's incredible.
So now my younger brother Matt, is a huge Steelers fan.
how did that happen?
Well, I can tell you I was him. So my uncle Ray, Ray
yeah.
passed away this past October. He after he graduated from college, he got a drug sales rep job in Pennsylvania. He was on his way home to Hornell for Christmas and had to pick up a gift for Matt, and he grabbed a Jack Ham jersey. And he gave Matt a Jack Ham jersey. Matt was probably 5 years old, and then the Steelers won the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah.
He's now a Steelers fan for the rest of his life.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
That's how it happened.
That's how. Why do you think there's all these Mets fans walking around?
No,
Because in '86 they won the World Series. All those guys were like, they love Doc Gooden, they loved Darryl Strawberry, and now they've been suffering and paying for it ever since. Peter Montemurro, I can't believe I'm still a Mets fan.
And the Killers, my Uncle Ray was a Bills fan.
Yeah.
But he's in Pennsylvania driving north to Hornell, and that's what he grabbed. So and God bless my brother, the first Super Bowl I ever went to was in Detroit when the Steelers played the Seahawks, because we made a pact after my father passed away that whoever's team went to the Super Bowl, we would go and honor my dad.
Yeah.
And the Steelers went. It was in February of 2006. It was 4 months after Luke was born. And the Steelers went, and I was like, dude, we made a pact. Let's go.
And he did.
And we did. And it's been
Wow.
I've only missed one since then.
Wow. That's something. That's a streak.
But that's a streak. Yeah. But yeah, that's how he became a Steelers fan. So he hates Tomlin. He can't.
Your brother can't.
Matt can't stand Tomlin.
Really? Why?
Well, same thing we have issues with McDermott on game management, time management.
Familiarity breeds contempt. He's like a clock manager.
Yeah, I think Tomlin screwed up the clock yesterday.
His receivers are always a pain in the assets. They're all divas. They're awesome.
And by the way,
they're all pains.
How about Pickens yesterday?
Last night, like literally
horrible.
Pickens was awful.
He's yelling at the fans.
He got in a fight with fans after the game.
Before.
He's 23 years old.
Before, during, and after.
But I mean, he couldn't catch anything.
Right. But
nothing. He couldn't catch a cold.
I was going to say the same thing, and I let it go because I go, wow, I'm going to sound like I'm glad you did.
A dad joke?
Yes.
I mean, and on the flip side, there's Freiermuth just calmly catching balls.
Strong.
Except Freiermuth. And he's a Penn State guy, so I got to give him a little bit of go. But yesterday, one of the key drives at the end of the game, Freiermuth catches the ball, loses his balance. He has an opportunity to lean forward to get the first down.
Yeah. And
he avoids the contact with the secondary, goes out of bounds, and then they end up turning the ball over because they went for it on 3rd and 1 and then 4th and 1. If Freiermuth had just darted it forward,
get that 1 yard. I watched that. I was rooting.
You know why,
so
Bill?
badly?
Because they don't have MVP
Josh
of the NFL, Josh Allen.
Yeah. When is that announced? By the way.
February 6th is the honors banquet.
Thursday before the Super Bowl.
Honors banquet for the NFL down in New Orleans.
Greg is hoping to accept that honor on behalf of Josh Allen because he'll be preparing for the Super Bowl.
Many people are
against
saying
the Vikings.
I'm hearing more and more. Of course, Lamar's done some amazing things. To me, it's Josh.
Yeah.
However, I'm starting to hear more buzz about Burrow.
Well,
Cincinnati. I mean, he's played. Yeah. There's something that I'm starting not to like him.
Yeah.
Only because he's so.
Beth hates him.
Why?
Hates Joe Burrow. When he got hurt last night, she's like, well, I don't want to wish evil upon anybody, but.
Well, his whole face came up right with the.
Dude, the ground looked like it hurt after that tackle.
He had
a chunk
so
of the
much
turf
in his helmet.
So then he goes into the blue tent.
Yeah.
And they're like, somebody's like, get out the Toradol. I mean,
it's one of the reasons. Again, I can't tell you why you don't like him, but I think the general consensus of Joe Burrow is that us as common American football loving basic human beings, there's a certain sense of people that have arrogance that you just repulse against because nobody
I
wants.
usually like that. Like if he were our
there's a difference between arrogance and confidence.
Yes,
I think you
I
like
agree.
confidence.
Oh, I love confidence.
Arrogance. Who likes arrogance?
Yeah, but I always think he's just a little young and maybe immature. But
He's no longer
so
young,
cool.
though.
No, well,
That's it.
Yeah.
He's no longer young. He's not a young kid anymore.
So when
compared to you and I.
So here's what happened with Joe Burrow.
True.
He was overlooked at Ohio State. Or, I'm sorry, the Ohio State.
Yeah.
He was overlooked. Then he goes to LSU, has a mediocre first season. Second season, he lights the world on fire and wins the national championship. But he had like an all-star team to throw to. It's like, okay, well, let's see what happens when he gets to the NFL. So his first year he gives this humble Heisman speech about growing up in Ohio and how there's so many poor people there that we need to think of. They got laid off, right? Then he goes to the NFL.
And he was never good enough. He was always the second kid.
But then he
got
starts
passed over by this and that.
But then he starts
which is very endearing
Yes,
to
it
the common
is.
folk of
Yes,
America.
it is.
He goes from that guy
Until
to
he smoking cigars.
right. He starts smoking cigars. He's putting on fur coats and dyeing his hair.
Right.
And
All
wearing
right,
shades.
all right.
Then
okay.
all of a sudden
that
he's like,
explains it for me.
I'm Joe
right
Cool.
there. Because
Right.
I even the dyed hair now,
Yeah.
I kind of go, all right.
And then the whole this is the other thing. So the entry into the NFL, which I love because I think it's very entertaining, the entry into the games has really captured, in terms of like my kids' attention. That's the fashion, that's the pregame, that's the
yes.
fun part of the
It is.
discussion of games.
Yep.
Joe Burrow has immersed himself to be that guy. Josh Allen shows up in jeans and like a funny t-shirt.
Yeah, but I like Josh
human.
Allen because there's
Humble.
Humble.
he's the guy who wears the
There's
tuxedo
nothing.
shirt to the
The
party.
reason why Burrow is that because he has that obnoxious arrogance
He
of like,
does.
I'm this. He's got the fur coat. He's got the pink. That's who
And I
likes that?
laughed at it the first time, right? And I go, look at this guy. Yeah, all right, okay, cool.
No, that's
now
who he
I'm-
is.
Now I'm starting to go, all right, enough.
Yeah,
Enough.
and that's why. And
Beth goes, he's got one of those punchable faces. I've ever
yeah, and Josh. And the other reason why Josh is so endearing is Josh is like a Labrador Retriever. He's like a golden retriever.
He is. He's a
He's
golden
like the
retriever.
dog in Up.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And I love that movie, but that dog was so loyal and so,
Yeah.
hey, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
What can I do? But he's also the guy that has the same story, does
Yeah.
he not? That same, overlooked junior college,
Those are
right?
the quarterbacks.
Wyoming goes to Wyoming.
Wait a second.
Those are the quarterbacks that always make it.
Wait, Joe Burrow went to the Ohio State.
No, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Josh was even below
Well, he
that.
was over.
But Burrow did like he had to fight. Like he had to stay in
He
college
was
5 or
overlooked
6 years
at
before he
that,
finally
yeah.
got his shot.
Wait a second. I mean, look,
I don't love him,
I'm a
but
small town kid from Hornell.
Here we go.
I grew up in the Southern Tier.
know.
Me too.
Wait a second. I'm a
Southern
small
Tier
town kid.
tears.
But the small town kid who then goes to the Ohio State, you're not overlooked. You're
No, once you get to the
but,
Ohio
but
State,
when
you're right.
When you get there, there's somebody they deem better
yes,
than you.
yes.
Okay,
Couple
so
guys.
You didn't match up.
No.
Josh didn't even get the opportunity
No,
to
he
do
did
that.
not.
No.
And so when
No.
you talk about overlooked, he truly was overlooked.
Yeah, Josh.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying
The
he.
top notch didn't even get a look at him.
So was a guy that you, if I say his name, you'll probably cringe. Aaron Rodgers. Overlooked.
Aaron Rodgers went to a community college.
Now I'm liking this.
He went to Butte Community College before he got to.
Before we get into, and I do want to talk about maybe who the Bills will face,
Yeah.
even though we don't know yet. But AFC East, we talk about New England having a high pick in the draft. I don't know that that's going to change their team that significantly next season. But-
now that they won,
Yeah.
they slipped to 3. I don't
Yeah,
think so.
no,
but
I
if they
know.
remained, if they had lost
Well,
and
see,
stayed at 1,
that
I think
could-
they could have.
That could have generational
Oh.
reverberation.
It was
I
like
thought
that was
they would
they had
trade for like 6 picks.
they had an opportunity there if they lost to
Yeah.
do what the Dallas Cowboys did with Herschel Walker back in the
Oh,
90s
Yeah.
when they freaking revolutionized the whole Dallas Cowboys roster.
Right there.
That was the opportunity they had, and they blew it.
Yeah. Why? I wonder. Well,
You know who else blew it when they had their chance? Jacksonville. They drafted Lawrence. Now you take Lawrence,
yeah.
but everybody was saying, but everybody else said they believed in Justin Fields. They believed in Mac Jones. Well, if you really did, then why didn't you go on national radio and say Jacksonville should trade down,
Yeah.
get more picks, and do that? No, they didn't believe in those quarterbacks. That's why I know they're lying. But I'm like, this was a real chance where the Patriots, whoever gets the number 1 overall pick,
yeah.
could do that. They could theoretically do it, and they have their quarterback. That's why they could have had a generational haul, and they won today.
Yes.
That's why Kevin's so
Well,
tipped
that's why.
off.
Yes, and that's why the fans have their
Bags over their heads.
And there's one thing that we've learned as Bills Mafia, how critical it is
They have the number 1 overall pick.
to have a quarterback.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, we
Yeah,
were joking today about coming and watching the game here. As I said, hey, you guys want to come and watch the Throwback Bills? Throwback Bills, meaning
the drought
we
Bills.
didn't have the Josh Allen. We
No,
didn't
we did not.
have the guy. We had JP
I thought
Losman.
they were wearing throwback jerseys.
I read really fast, so I thought you meant that too.
I thought you meant throwback jerseys. I'm glad you explained it because you're right.
I almost
was
wore
back
my
to the
throwback.
Dragons.
There was a guy last night because Cleveland has the same problem, and they have a jersey made up of the second. This is the second generation Browns because the Browns are now the first Browns, right?
Yeah.
And it has the names of all the
The
starting
Ravens.
Generation Browns are in Baltimore.
They have, and he has a jersey with all the additional names of every single quarterback who's ever started for the Browns since 1999. And they had to add another one last night with Bailey Zappi.
Oh, yeah.
So they just keep adding names because the Browns can never get the
Wasn't
quarterback
there like
right.
25
Yeah.
quarterbacks or
Yeah.
something since then?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the Bills could have been in that position. Like if Josh Allen didn't succeed, we'd be on like 3 or 4 more quarterbacks by now.
And so because of Josh, because of Justin, because of oh my God, the guy out in Philadelphia. Why am I drawing a blank?
Jalen Hurts.
Because of Hurts, you get all these guys, Burrow and Cincy, Mahomes in Kansas City. The cornerstone to any successful team is that position, right? And that's and it's been solidified through the draft now. So when you have the number 1 draft pick, any team that has struggled wants to get that guy. And so they'll focus on getting that guy. It's not the defensive the edge rusher. It's getting the quarterback. So if you don't need your quarterback, and I think New England feels they have a pretty solid person at their one spot.
I think they do.
You don't need it. You can leverage that to
There's
get
so much, right?
couple of firsts, couple of seconds, and then you get your 5th and 6th round picks, which is where the Bills have built their team.
Yeah.
Look, the depth of the Bills defense and some of the receivers and their offensive line have come in that 5th and 6th round picks. That's where you build your team because that's where the salary cap comes in. The GMs that manage that late draft better than everybody else, those are the teams that are successful right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Andy Reid has been a genius at doing that.
He has.
And so, but you can build that, and that's the easiest way to make that transition. And to me, the Patriots and that
they missed an opportunity there. The
I
other
believe.
AFC East team is the Jets. What happens with Rodgers and who do they go to for the head coach? We know that Vrabel interviewed already with the Jets and Rex Ryan back in the mix, meeting with the Jets on Tuesday.
I would love for Rex Ryan to go back to the Jets.
I would too. Just if nothing else for the content that's going to come out of that.
So so the NFL has a deal now where there's always going to be one of the conferences is going to have that behind the scenes.
Yes.
And
like a Hard Knocks.
Yeah,
'cause
every
they just
conference
did it
is
for They just
This
did it
year's
for
the
the
AFC.
North.
It was the AFC North. I haven't
the
watched
North.
it yet.
Yeah, I haven't either. Mid-season though, right? They came in late.
it's during the season.
Yeah, there's the off season, there's the preseason, and then there's the divisional and the season.
And by the way, that if Rex goes back, he's gonna be part of it because that's what Rex is good at.
Yeah,
he's an
great.
entertainer.
He is an absolute entertainer. I love him on Mondays on ESPN. I watch Get Up.
He's a big
before
Josh Allen
NFL.
fan too.
He loves Josh
He
Allen.
does love Josh. And by the way, when we were the training camp sponsor, when Rex was there, it was one of the most fun times as a corporate partner of the Bills of our entire partnership.
I would believe that. I remember meeting him and it might have been Watkins.
Okay.
Sammy
Watkins and Rex Ryan at a Pepsi thing downtown.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It was around Christmas time. They came in. It was the Pepsi New Year's or Pepsi Christmas, and Rex was there. Man, those teeth are capped and white, and he's got the big smile. He looks good in person. He looks better in person.
Well, he was taken aback. He and Sammy were taken aback when they booed the mayor. They were like, "Whoa!"
Was that Bill Johnson?
No, it was the lovely.
Warren.
Lovely Warren.
Yeah. No, Johnson. They loved it.
One of my fondest training camp memories is that Rex did a lot of night practices back on the turf at Fisher, which was one of the greatest environments to be around.
Yeah,
there was a double-decker tent. And remember those days? And we had a bunch of people there and we were having a great time. Practice ended and the party continued.
Yeah.
And we were having so much fun in the tent. After the practice was over, Rex came over into the tent for a corporate event with one of the other sponsors and was done with it, and then came over to where we were and sat down at the table and ended up hanging out with us and having a couple of soda pops.
Yeah.
While those guys were the team was inside doing their the rehab or getting ready and everything. But it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night because that's when he had the evening practice. It was like at 6.
Yeah.
And him just sitting there just BSing with us was absolutely priceless. And he captivated everybody around him.
He has that aura about him.
Oh.
Like he does. It's magnetic. His dad was probably a better coach.
Buddy Ryan was
undoubtedly.
Well, Buddy Ryan, I mean, that was the whole 85 Bears was him.
He was a miserable old man.
He
was a grumpy old man.
Yeah.
So before the movie, you can make the argument. Buddy was definitely a better coordinator. You can make the argument though that Rex may have been a better head coach than Buddy.
Okay.
Yeah,
but because Buddy's success as a head coach with 2 teams was marginal, just like Rex's.
Who do you have?
I don't know.
But
you think Rex's success as a head coach? He took the Jets to 2 AFC championship games.
Yeah.
No, that's my point. He took the Jets to 2 AFC championship games. Buddy couldn't win a playoff game.
No.
That's my point. But
was
Buddy
he with
was
the Oilers?
But he was as a defensive coordinator for 1 year.
All
But
right.
Buddy, as a defensive coordinator, was the father of the 46 defense with the 85 Bears.
Yeah.
So he was a better. What I'm saying is, Buddy was a better coordinator. You can make the argument that Rex was a better head coach.
Yeah, I
His
got
father.
you.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Dan.
We will take a moment when we come back. A few more football things. Did anybody do fantasy football at this table? I did not. You didn't either?
I don't.
My son does. Will does. In fact, Will won his. I think it was his high school. He and his buddies from his high school still do fantasy football, and I guess he won his team this year.
All right, we'll have to bring Will over because the punishment one guy had for losing his league is maybe the best and the worst punishment I've ever heard. We will get to all that as the Bills and the regular season wrap up. We'll look at who they may face and get to that next.
All right, Will, you're gonna come over and give us a little fantasy football punishment. Come on. Oh, no. Come on, Willie. nervous about.
Oh,
Just happens.
Yeah.
And you just never know. And well, we were talking earlier, the gentleman who I mentioned to you guys who got melanoma out and was working there, was dealing with the Roswell Cancer Center.
right.
And he was in hospice, and he was like, he just wanted to go to the Bills game against the Jets.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting to the Bills game. He ended up doing an online field experience. He ended up doing New Year's Eve with his family and passed away on January 2nd. Wow. I mean, you got to take advantage of what's in front of you. You never know what tomorrow's going to bring. Every day like it's your birthday.
Yeah, like on the 31st, I just thank God, no hospital visits this year. That was serious.
Yeah.
Because I had 2 years in a row of hospital visits. And I'm like, one of them got me back into church.
I can't. Yeah, that's true. And if it wasn't for the Fitbit, you probably wouldn't have
Yeah,
gone. And
right.
That was right, because that was the one that told you.
That wasn't even a hospital visit. That was another situation.
I thought that was a hospital.
No,
visit.
that wasn't a hospital visit.
Oh,
Hospital visits were complex migraines where my body went numb. I thought I was having a stroke.
okay.
What was it?
And-
Carpal tunnel or?
No, it was an aura. Migraine with aura. And the other one was when I woke up, thought I had a heart attack. And no, you're fine. You're fine.
What was
That's
that?
it's a
Was that
panic
stress?
attack.
Oh,
I had a dream that I got
Yeah.
left behind. I'm not joking.
oh.
It's like Jesus came back and said, "No, you ain't coming."
Greg,
Yeah, Bill thinks that's the funniest thing in the
I
world
do, because it's a.
because he doesn't believe.
But it's not that he. Well, okay, I have different beliefs. I'm not saying that I don't believe completely, but that you got left behind practically killed you. I mean, that to me is like it's
The irony of
Yes!
that. It's
Yes!
just like,
Ladies and gentlemen, I had the hell scared out of me,
Yes.
literally.
All right.
yeah.
Okay. All right. For so many years, where as we talk about the Buffalo Bills winning the AFC Championship, there's Greg with his AFC Championship hat on. 5 seasons in a row. The Patriots had done it. What was the most in a row that we figured out during the game? Was it 10 years in a row they did it? I know they did
11.
for
I think it was 11 years in a row.
11
Yeah.
years in a row.
Because the only years, they did it in 2001. Then they missed the playoffs entirely in 2002. Then from 2003 to 2007, they made it 4 straight. Then Brady got hurt in 08. They missed the playoffs entirely. Then from 09 to 19, they made it 11 straight. So the Patriots would win the division every single year
Yeah.
that Brady wasn't hurt,
so
pretty much.
well, now with Brady,
Yeah.
there's talk that Brady's coming out. The Athletic had this whole article that Tom Brady is coming out of the booth for Fox, even though he has his 10-year, $375 million contract, and is going to be more involved on the ownership side with the Raiders. And he's a minority owner, from what I understand.
Yeah, he is.
But I could see where, you may want to be picking his brain for stuff. And some people, I mean, while Brady has, a lot of people say has gotten better throughout the season as a broadcaster, just isn't. Some people just
Well,
feel like
last
he doesn't
week,
really have it.
I don't think he's that bad. I don't think he's that bad at all. I don't think he's great, but I don't think he's bad. I think he's average, but he's Tom Brady. The problem is last week he spaced in the intro. He spaced, completely spaced, and just it was like, and he was talking about the losses of the game of the.
I heard he had a dream he was left behind in the rapture.
Yeah.
Thought he was-
No, that was the Super Bowl parade.
No, sorry.
Super Bowl parade.
He dropped it. He actually dropped it in the ocean that time.
I thought Brady was pretty good. I thought
Yeah,
he's been pretty good this
I
year.
have
His
too.
insight, I think the reason why Brady gets a knock is because he's not particularly entertaining.
He's very straightforward.
He's dry.
Yeah.
He's very dry. He's very direct, and he has it. And when he tries to be entertaining, he just falls flat on his face.
Well, even at his roast,
he's awkward.
Yes.
He has a social awkwardness of him.
even at his roast, though, remember when he got up and he told somebody to not say something?
Yeah.
Was it Nikki Glazer?
I can't remember who it was.
Somebody
They were making fun of Kraft getting a.
Yeah, and he
No. It was
Kevin
Ross.
Hart.
Kevin Ross.
It was
Ross.
Jeff Ross.
Jeff
It was
Ross.
Jeff Ross.
Jeff
Yes,
Ross was talking
Jeff
about,
the-
Robert Kraft going to the rub and tug. and Brady's
yeah.
like, no.
No,
Like,
got
I like
up.
this. No.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of the fun police in a way, right?
Yeah.
Because that's funny.
Meanwhile, everybody else is getting like roasted completely. And then that was the one time. Nope. Can't do that.
Wouldn't allow that. I don't know. I don't know if this is true or not, but I mean, he could. I know that they're limiting him to his on-field access before games, right? He can't go talk to players. He can't do that sort of thing. It hasn't seemed to really affected him.
So Fox is like, why are we spending all this money?
Well, that's
if you
what I'm
can't
wondering.
go all out for this job,
That's
which
what
is
I'm
a great
wondering.
point. When you got the kid Olsen, who does a heck of a job.
Greg Olsen, yeah.
Greg Olsen does a heck of a job, and he's entertaining.
Well-
He's fun. He's informative. And he was on the first team until Brady got brought in cold.
Yeah, I mean, Greg Olson's Greg Olson is much more entertaining.
Mhm.
He doesn't take himself so serious. The thing about Brady for me is that Tom has achieved such success in his professional career. He takes himself too seriously,
Yes, he does.
right? He doesn't want to put himself there and embarrass himself like I just did, right? He doesn't want to do that because he takes himself. And Greg Olson doesn't care. I mean,
Right.
he's got a receding hairline. He's a washed up tight end.
Yeah.
He's had his professional career, which was moderately to
It was
plus
It was about a
successful.
B plus career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't a Hall of Fame career, but he was good.
And so he brings a flavor and an insight and a humility that a lot of people don't have and don't bring to it. Brady doesn't bring that.
I would say
to it.
Romo has that a little bit. No?
Well, Romo, I agree.
I don't know.
I think Romo
He
has
can
a
be-
bit of it.
Only because he was such a
Well,
late draft pick, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't
Oh,
drafted.
he wasn't drafted
Yeah.
at all. That's
he and
right.
Kurt Warner were both undrafted guys
Yeah.
from the same school, Eastern Illinois.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah,
I
I,
didn't know
forgot
that
they're
he
from the
was-
same school.
He was Bledsoe's backup.
I just don't think I like Romo. I don't think he's that. His ability to communicate, I think, is limited.
Yeah. He's starting to see what
Well-
a rockhead he is.
well, over a
They
year-
really are.
Before last season.
He gives football players. I think he reinforces the temperament,
well,
or intellectual capacity of football players. As
CBS,
do I.
CBS apparently had an intervention for him a little over a year ago before this last season and said, you got to up your game. You got to get better. We're going to let you go. We're paying you all this money. They weren't happy with his performance. So in the Super Bowl, in overtime, when Kansas City goes to win the game, and I know that when the final play is made, whether it's a World Series, whether it's a Super Bowl, you shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he talked over the whole play.
Oh, I don't even remember that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was there. I don't remember it.
Yeah.
I was screaming, yelling in anger because the freaking Chiefs won and the 49ers lost. But
You're going this year? No,
Yeah.
I would assume.
no, yeah.
matter what.
It's planes booked, hotels booked.
Yeah.
Got my request into the Bills for my tickets.
Okay.
Although there's 10 new owners with their whole entourage of requests. So I'm now further down the line.
Oh, that stinks.
But the
I'm a little nervous, Dan.
Yeah,
I'm a little
but they
nervous.
may
me too.
will they,
For
do
you.
they get a bigger allotment of tickets if the Bills go to the Super Bowl?
They do.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So each team, so the way the NFL does the tickets distribution for the Super Bowl is that all 32 teams have a certain ticket allocation. And then the NFL corporate partners have a ticket allocation. And then the two teams that make it have a broader scale. So they carve out the stadium, and then the AFC team that gets the AFC championship team gets a certain ticket. The NFC team gets a certain ticket. And then the remaining 30 teams split up and they have to buy them. So
Okay.
their teams buy those tickets. There really aren't tickets for sale to the general public. You can only get a ticket to the Super Bowl through the NFL. You can't buy them anyplace else.
Ah,
So so
Okay.
it's a guaranteed sellout.
yeah.
And in each NFL team buys the hotels within that geographic area. There's a certain number of hotel rooms that each team buys, and the two teams that go to the Super Bowl have a certain hotel allocation, which is bigger than the other 30 teams that aren't part of the Super Bowl. And so there's guaranteed sellouts of all the hotels as well.
Look at this. All
Yeah,
right.
it's an interesting.
It's a great business model, right? Because if they're coming to your city,
You own, and
At
that's
the
why
time of
that's why
year.
those cities are guaranteed the money
Yeah.
that they talk about.
Yeah.
Is for that very reason.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate to learn this and get into some of that and have some relationships and contacts where I get hotel rooms and whatever in certain cities because
Yeah.
a team doesn't go to the Super Bowl and let's say it's Seattle and they're not going, and I've got a friend who's part of the organization there, and they've got 350 rooms and they're only using 300. They got 50 rooms that they've already paid for. They're willing to get rid of them or sell them at a reduced price.
Yeah.
You just got to know who to call.
Look at this. It's all in who you know, Danny.
That's right.
It's all in who you know.
It's interesting.
We'll take a moment. Who do we want to see the Bills play in the first round of the playoffs? And it does look like it could be.
It more than likely will it be right now,
Yeah.
Denver. But
Denver.
I've learned over the years not to root for a Bills opponent to show up.
No.
Yeah.
You always just let it play out
Yeah.
and let your team take care of business. Because I remember in 1990, I was so thrilled the Giants beat the Niners in the NFC Championship game. Bills lose the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
1992, I was so thrilled the Cowboys beat the Niners. The Niners were good, man.
Yeah.
They were a machine. People forget how good they were. And what happened? The Bills got annihilated. So I learned don't ever root for any team, for an opponent. Just let it happen.
We will we'll get to all that right after this. I grew up in such a small town. True story, and I need to get verification on it because nobody ever believes me. But the chief of police, or maybe the only officer in Pine Plains, he was Kaus, and Officer Kaus lived right on Main Street right after the speed limit dropped to 30. So you'd be coming up this Route 82 or 190, Route 82, and you'd be flying along, and all of a sudden it would drop down. Well, he would get you on a radar from his living room, and he would walk up. He would see you in the drugstore and give you a ticket. Like later on, I don't even know if it was legal, if you could do that.
I thought you were going to tell me that there was in a stoplight just past his house, and he would radio one of the officers and say, "Hey,
I remember my friend
that blue Mazda 626 just was going 55 in the 30."
Yeah,
he was like a red line camera.
He had the radar gun, had it in his living room, and I thought a friend of mine got a ticket. Stephen Dam, and there were other people like the Frenzel family.
I have no doubt.
But in this small town, would walk up in the drugstore, which still had a soda fountain with the the syrup and the seltzer water and all that. And then they decided to take it out. They were going to throw it away, get it out of the deli the drugstore, and the deli bought it. And so we had a soda fountain for years in that town.
Wow. Okay.
Like a 1950s soda fountain.
Anybody that lives in the southern part of Monroe County that goes to CMAC for the CMAC concerts in the summer, if you go on 5 and 20 through Bloomfield, they have that same thing.
They do?
Oh my God, yeah.
Like the little soda fountain?
No. It goes from 55 to 35
in a second.
On a downhill.
My hometown too, 55 to 30.
On a downhill.
55 to 30.
Yeah.
Like that. There's no
room.
room.
The cop sit right there.
Oh, right at the bottom of the hill, and there's a little driveway, and he's right there
every time.
Oh my gosh, it's almost like every time we come back from a concert from CMAC, he has at least one, if not multiple people pulled over. This is obviously we've been there for many years now, so we know. But it's just like these guys kill me.
There is a before we get to who we hope the Bills play, there is something that you're going to see all over social media and the news. A Dallas Cowboys cheerleader got absolutely nailed by place kicker Brandon Aubrey. He was trying to kick it out of bounds at AT&T.
Was that a Paris Hilton video?
Is that today?
Today. And he hit
What was it? Tommy Lee and
no.
Oh, you said she got actually hammered.
Yes,
I don't know. Sorry.
Come on,
you guys.
I see.
Am I the only childlike mentality here at this table? I thought I had some
But you
compadres
gotta see
here.
this girl get hit right in the head.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's horrible.
She got clocked right in the head. And there's video everywhere. It just shows her because all of a sudden you hear the announcers talking and you see it disappear, and then you see this blonde hair just get bam, and the ball come flying back. But it was like the back of her head. It was
so sarcastic about
I kind of liked it actually. It was very funny. I fully appreciated that. The Denver Broncos are ahead of the Kansas City Chiefs 14-0. Obviously, the Chiefs are playing nobody today. They've already got a first round bye.
Yeah, Carson Wentz
first week bye. So, and you would think that Carson Wentz would want to kind of prove his worth a little bit here, right? But maybe he's got nobody to throw to. I have no idea.
Sure, he does.
But do we want to see Denver? Who would you like to see the Bills play in the first round? Because I am really hoping that Cincinnati does not make it to the playoffs. They seem a little dangerous to me.
For me, I'm not necessarily wishing for a particular team. For me, it's all about matchups, right? When you think about the college playoff series, Penn State had the best matchups in the first two rounds, right? They had SMU. SMU had a strong run offense. Penn State has a very strong run defense. The Penn State run defense shut down their run offense. They became one-dimensional against the throw, and Penn State hammered them.
Yeah.
They caused 3 interceptions in the first 2 quarters. The first score by Penn State was a pick 6. So for me, it's about the matchup side of it. And so when I think of the Bills strength is their offensive weaponry. And when you think about which team's defense is the strength that has allowed them to win, when I think of the Bengals, I think of the Broncos, I think of the Dolphins. That team that has that is the Broncos. The Broncos defense probably of those three teams is probably the strongest part of their team. So when you think of matchups, I think the Broncos matchup of their defense against the Bills offense is probably the best for the Bills.
Mhm.
That is.
Yes.
For the Bengals' strength is Joe Burrow and the
Absolutely,
offense.
yeah.
Well, our defense is our weakness. I don't want to match
I
our
don't
weakness against their strength.
Right. Me neither.
So
I mean, if the Bills could exercise that ghost of beating the Bengals, because the Bengals, like Joe Burrow's the other quarterback they haven't beaten. I mean, they've beaten Patrick Mahomes. But they haven't beaten Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. They haven't beaten Joe Burrow,
and they've beaten Tua. But when you look at the Dolphins' strength is their offense. The Dolphins is a very strong. I mean, their offensive weaponry when they're healthy is phenomenal. I mean, they're one of the best offenses in terms of the talent they have. So when you look at the Dolphins' strength is their offense. The Bills' weakness is their defense. I don't want to go against the Dolphins either, particularly since we've matched up against them. We beat them twice. It's hard to beat them three times.
Yeah, I agree.
Particularly when their strength is the offense and your weakness is your defense.
And at some point, they do have to figure out a way to win in the cold.
Right.
Miami.
Who wants to be the Dolphins haven't won a game under 50 degrees and whatever, or 45 degrees. Well,
for decades.
I don't want to be the first team that they lose to.
The one that breaks the curse.
I don't want to do it.
Breaks the curse. That is the worry. I kind of like the Denver matchup for me. I think that one I'm okay with.
Yeah. I mean, you got a rookie quarterback.
Yeah,
Again, the strength for the Broncos is the defense.
Yes. And our offense is pretty solid.
I will tell you this. There are no easy outs in the AFC.
There's not.
No.
Not one.
No.
And don't tell me Pittsburgh is an easy out. They're not.
I don't think so.
Houston will show up. They will show up. The Chargers will show up.
Oh.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see the Chargers in the AFC Championship game.
I do not want to see the Chargers.
Really?
Yeah.
Chargers are tough, man.
You got Bosa and Mack on the edge on the defense, and then you got Herbert and who's his receiver that he's got?
McConkey.
You do that
who's not related to the other McConkey.
But I'm shocked to hear you say AFC Championship with them. I guess I have.
They're peaking at just the right time. Justin Herbert has been wasted.
Yeah.
And now Jim Harbaugh has figured out how to utilize him. I'm not saying he's as talented as Josh Allen. Don't. I'm not going
Herbert,
but he's good. He's got athleticism. He's got an arm. He's got guts. He can move. He's not Josh Allen, but he can be a Josh Allen type of player.
I think Herbert's a better thrower than Josh. I think so? Josh is a better quarterback.
Well, Josh definitely a better quarterback
because there's a lot more skill set to be a quarterback other than just throwing the ball.
Yeah.
But Herbert, I think his ability to throw the ball up the field, the long ball, the short ball, the middle ball, he had. I think Herbert's got a better talent for that part of it. But Herbert's more one-dimensional. Josh can do the RPO. Josh can do it on his own. They can do a student body right, student body left with Josh, and Josh can make some of those throws. I don't think Josh is quite have the accuracy or the touch for the long ball and the medium ball like Herbert has. But I'll take Josh every day of the week.
Yeah, I would take Josh
Herbert
too.
Yeah, that's not disputed. But he's good.
No.
And he's been wasted by Brandon Staley. Now Jim Harbaugh in his first year is figuring out how to use this kid.
You don't like John Harbaugh.
For me, Herbert and Burrow are the same guy.
Herbert and Burrow. Okay, they are.
I can
really.
see that.
I see them two as the same guy.
Okay.
Because they're both great throwers.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of like what other elements they bring to the quarterback role in terms of scrambling and then all the other stuff, I think they're about the same.
Okay, yeah.
I think they're the same, but Josh is not. Josh and Lamar are a different sector of quarterbacking. And I can't say on Harbaugh.
I know. John. How about Jim?
They're brothers.
I know.
They're brothers.
No, but
I'm an arrogant,
I gotta say,
dark glass guy from Michigan.
Yeah, but
who defied every 49ers and went to college and did his thing.
Jim Harbaugh's won everywhere he's gone.
Yeah,
everywhere he's gone.
It's annoying,
except for when he was playing quarterback.
Yeah, right.
Well, he was a Hail Mary away from going to the Super Bowl 30. I can't remember what the receiver was. If he catches that ball, it's not the Steelers going to lose to the Cowboys. It's the Colts. I can't believe we're saying that out loud, but that was an actual that almost happened.
I didn't
In fact,
know
the
that.
reason why, and Craig might know this, the reason why the Colts ended up with Peyton Manning Jim Harbaugh was the quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts, and Jim Kelly had just retired. He's got a show called The Jim Kelly Show. And on The Jim Kelly Show, he's getting ready to talk about the Bills, his former team, playing the Colts. And he said, Jim Harbaugh likes to over-dramatize his injuries. Well, word got back to Indianapolis that Jim Kelly had said that about Jim Harbaugh. So Jim Kelly get into a fist fight after the game in the tunnel. Harbaugh breaks his hand. The Colts end up losing the rest of their games that year and get the number 1 overall pick the following season.
You're kidding. This is a real story?
I didn't know
that at all.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Danny,
I did know that Jim had
that's
a
a
talk
great
show.
lore. That's not made up.
I'm not making that up.
I do know that Jim had the show, and I do know Jim, so I do know that Jim likes to.
Well, he probably wouldn't say you like that.
And he's very competitive.
Yeah.
So
is Harbaugh.
I get to
so Harbaugh afterwards gave money to
Harbaugh was that good.
Harbaugh but he wasn't always, he was like Doug Flutie good, right?
Yeah,
he was a guy, he was a B quarterback, but man, you did not want him with the ball in his hands with 2 minutes left because
he's a competitor, right?
Yeah.
Right. Just like he is now, he's a grinder.
Yeah.
He's a grinder.
Yep.
Like Tim Tebow would find a way to win games somehow. That was Jim Harbaugh. That was Doug Flutie.
Yeah.
He was that kind of guy. He was scrappy. He wasn't great, but he was definitely
gamer.
okay.
He's a gamer.
Yeah. But but that story, and then so Jim Harbaugh felt bad.
The cameras went dark. Man, we got moonlighting in here. Where did the moonlighting come from?
I'm guessing Jen turned the lights down.
Oh, all of a sudden the cameras are. And how does she turn the lights? Does she want you to leave? Is that your signal that we're too loud?
No, no, that's the signal. She tried to change the lighting somewhere else, and
she doesn't know the system fully yet. Is that it?
And I'm guessing,
the playbook. She hasn't learned the playbook of the house. She hasn't gotten the playbook of the house yet.
She meant to call a screen, and she threw it down the field.
Well, I shouldn't say this.
Okay.
Or should we say it?
No, then you have to say it. Once you say you don't,
no, I know. We shouldn't say
it.
But I think there's a real chance for the Bills to take it, to complete the season, playing every game that can possibly be played in an NFL season and be in it.
I hope you're right.
Bill,
this season really has felt special.
I respect you and appreciate you. But one thing that I've got bad karma on is I never like to talk about success.
I don't either, but boy, it's
stay hungry, stay humble, and stay hungry, right?
Yeah.
Somebody has to win it all.
We do. And so, it's like in the office. So with our marketing, with our strategic planning, is that we have plan different paths. And so if certain things happen, we have a plan for it. And if it doesn't happen, then we don't do it. And so it's been one of the things with the Bills has been, we have multiple avenues and multiple paths of if things happen, how do we do what to do?
Okay.
And one of the things has been, if the Bills, depending on what weeks the Bills win, we have a certain strategy that we implement. And one of the things I was always very reluctant to plan for was any game after the divisional game, after the 13 seconds. And at the game with the 13 seconds, the Bills went in and they were relatively unprepared for that game in terms of planning for the players and the fans and the ownership group. And so in the offseason, they went through and planned out a whole thing. If they were to go to the Super Bowl, this is what they would do. So it's done. So they don't have to worry about it. And so I followed their lead and we did the same thing. And so we did it in the offseason. So it had nothing to do with the karma of the in-season.
Got it. Look at this.
So,
getting out ahead of it just in case.
But I don't want to touch the karma.
No,
I don't want to talk about it.
I know.
We talked about it in the offseason, which had nothing to do with how things are going.
Yes.
We did it 2 years ago.
Right.
Plan is in place. And it's just going to go.
I guess my question is, I think somebody in every major sports market is thinking the same way.
Yeah.
So in other words, it's not like my luck or your luck. It's just, it comes down to just those moments of decision, of just executing when you're supposed to and getting it right. I don't think we have anything to do with it. I really believe that. I don't believe in the speaking into existence.
Okay, Dan, when you talk about the reality of the circumstances, you're right. But when you think about my mind, is that I have so much to do with it. Are you kidding me? I mean, the hat I'm wearing.
I can't do it.
The underwear I have on, the shirt I have on.
I have worn this for every game from a certain point in the season, because I gave my other lucky sweatshirt to my son, who then decided to crop it. So he cut the bottom off of
it. You want Belichick on his shirt?
Jordan?
Yeah, Jameson.
Or Jameson.
And
I will not wear this hat next week for the playoffs.
No.
I will not wear this
No.
hat because I did not wear this hat during the season when they were playing. Now, in reality, does it have anything to do with the outcome of the game? Absolutely not. But for me,
If they lose, you'll blame yourself.
I will internalize that to the nth degree, and then I'll never wear the hat again. There's many hats that, So-
happens.
He's retired many hats.
yeah. And you have the emotional investment, and anybody that listens that is been a Bills fan through the 90s and through the 2000s and the debacle of the 2010s and all the hope that we were sold on and the all of that stuff. Now that we've got Josh, we've got McDermott, there's been a stability of success that everybody craves, everybody
Mayall's
wants.
fired. Sorry.
They fired him.
Fired Gerard Mayo.
So I heard that
I'm sorry,
today
New
that
England.
Gerard Mayo was going to be out. So I do wonder if it will be Vrabel up there.
I can see that.
Don't
I
you
can
see
see
that? Don't
that.
you see that?
He's a former
Which,
Patriot.
by the way, concerns me.
Well, I mean,
Because
look,
he's a good
he-
coach,
he's a good
and-
coach.
And, they have a decent
he
quarterback.
had success in Tennessee.
Yeah, he did.
His big issue in Tennessee was control,
His temper.
and his temperament, right?
Right.
But he's a fighter. He's a winner.
Yeah.
And by the way, one of the issues that Belichick had when he was with Cleveland and the Jets was his temperament,
Right?
Because he's a no nonsense. He's a he's a disgruntled old man who's now dating a 24-year-old.
That is unbelievable to me. I
I'm
look at that,
focused
and
on
yet
North
when
Carolina.
she's all put together and she's all dressed up and they're out together, it doesn't look that far off.
Awkward.
It doesn't. Why? How come? Because I have
Because
seen.
you're almost as old as Bill Belichick. That's why.
No, wait a second.
Oh,
Hold
yeah.
on a second.
You're
Hold on.
projecting.
No,
You're
I-
projecting.
Because there's another guy who is a coach on the Dallas. I don't know what, but he's on the staff, and he's dating. And it looks like father-daughter when they're out. But when I saw her all dolled up and her hair's curled, and I go, that doesn't look that bad to me.
She looks more mature than her age.
She
man.
looks more mature than her
Yeah.
age, and then some people just look extremely young, and that's where it is creepy in a certain fashion. But
They're,
God bless
adult-
them.
they're adults. Who cares?
Well, the
I know-
thing is,
I know
like,
how it
No,
looks.
are you kidding me? We're all judging them.
yeah,
When I saw it, I judged them and I judged her too. My whole thing was, what is she after?
well,
I mean,
that's what I'm wondering. When
what do they have in common? What are they talking about? Is he talking about press coverage with her? Or is he talking? He's talking about 3D,
So are
2
you in-
over.
Are you into
You know.
Kendrick Lamar?
Right. I mean, come on. That's
But
what I.
He's a singer, right?
the best was when he was that video of him from the Ring doorbell cam. I don't know how it got out, but it was across somewhere, and he walks out shirtless. You hear the screen door, and you're going,
Wasn't it in Cape Cod?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it had to be
yeah,
Cape
yeah.
Cod because I'm looking at it going, this isn't her apartment, but he was like sneaking out, picking up the paper, whatever, and going back in.
I saw
think
that
it was a
too.
place she rented.
I
in
laughed.
Cape Cod.
I think it was like a summer retreat or
Yes,
something that
yes.
they have. I
Yeah.
thought that was pretty funny.
That
too.
was very funny.
and then all
I didn't see
the
that.
oh, it was
and by the way-
everywhere, Danny. Come on.
all the meme,
I focus on my work.
all
Yes,
the
I know.
all the memes about him going back to college so
Yes.
she could get tuition remission. It was the funniest. As a person who's like involved with Alfred
Yeah.
and whose son now is a freshman at Alfred, I laughed my head off. I was like, yeah, that's an interesting.
That is
It was really funny, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all fun and games,
Yeah.
and
Good for
as
him.
long as nobody gets hurt by it.
Right.
no,
Emotionally.
Too funny.
Right. And the thing is, like, you got to just everybody's opinion. This is where people get all spun around the axle on things, and let them. Who cares? It doesn't affect your life one bit.
Right.
Let them.
As long as he doesn't come back and beat the Bills, it doesn't affect my life.
Exactly. We
If
will.
it does, then I'll become overly judgmental.
But I am very interested to see who it is next in New England, and I do wonder if it is Vrabel. With that, I don't even know if he's interviewed. Well, nobody's interviewed for the job because it just opened.
No.
Well, look,
So-
Kraft interviewed one person. I think it was off the air. We talked about this. Is that when the Chargers went through
Yeah.
their GM search and their head coach search, they ended up interviewing 25 candidates
Yeah.
combined, which
Yeah.
means that the owner and his group had 25 perspectives of their team and 25 visions of their teams that they can pick and choose which
Yeah.
they can see and utilize, and then who can put it together and then make that come to fruition for them. That to me is a smart business
That's
person.
a really smart move.
Right. But Robert Kraft interviewed 2 people for the GM job, interviewed 1 person for the head coach job. He hadn't looked for a GM or a head coach in 20 plus years,
Uh.
is what I understand. So he had 3 perspectives.
Could there be
after 20 years
a madman strategy to that, Greg, in that you kind of knew that this would
set up for failure?
Yeah, and you never want to be the guy that follows the guy, allegedly. I think there are people who could be successful after someone was very successful. I mean, we've certainly seen it. You could do Montana and Young as a great example of that in terms of sports. But I wonder, could that possibly be? And you knew you would get the number. I don't know. I don't think anybody goes in wanting to lose. I don't think there's one player at the NFL level that, at least player-wise, that goes in wanting to lose.
Yeah, I think
they're competitors.
I think his hubris
Yes.
nature was not. I think he thought there would be continuity of the system,
Belichick.
of the Belichick way.
They used to call him Bill Jr.
Yeah,
That's what they called Mayo.
That's what-
Bill Jr.
Okay.
So I think that
Interesting that they only gave him 1 year. No?
that is interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you had a new quarterback.
So now you're going to pay him for 2 or 3 more years and pay somebody else to be the head coach.
So this is, and again, this is just my perspective that you, in that year, you get to and again, the other thing about him is that he had 0 head coaching experience.
Yeah.
You put him into a situation following a coach who had been a head coach in 2 prior organizations, and now he was your head coach for 20 years. He's got no head coaching experience. You had an opportunity to evaluate what was he like as a head coach. And I think in that first year, he had an idea. What does he have? He doesn't, for Kraft's perspective, I'm guessing, is that he did not demonstrate the qualities of leadership and organizational structure and management to take them to what they needed to, or they wanted to get to. You can figure that out. Now, he probably needs more experience. He probably needs more opportunity to get to that because,
Yes,
I mean,
he
look,
does.
Belichick had 2 runs at it, didn't get it right. He got run out of both places.
But you know what's so weird is there isn't anybody from the Belichick coaching tree that went on and has had success. Maybe there's one. Maybe one.
So
I was gonna
there's 2. Bill O'Brien,
yes.
who, by the way,
Wait,
tried-
wait.
But
Where did
the
he have
Texans
success?
Hold on,
in
no.
the NFL?
Where did he have success?
Houston. They were a playoff team in Houston. They got to the
And
divisional
then he
round.
got fired the
Hold on,
next
but
year.
listen, no, stay with me on this one. Bill O'Brien
I'm with you,
purposely
Greg.
tried to get fired from Houston. It backfired. He actually wanted out because I think there was another job that he was angling for.
Just like he did at Penn State.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, look, he came into Penn State after Paterno got fired. Who wanted that job?
Well,
He
no, there
took
was a
it-
guy there was an interim in between, but yeah, he came in essentially as an
Like,
outside hire.
Yeah, he came for 1 year, and then he got the Texans job, and he got them to the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know, his quarterback didn't want to play there anymore, and there were other things, but he was successful.
All right. So
So compared to the other guys, the other one is, of course, Nick Saban. We always forget about Nick Saban. We
Wait
always
a
forget
second.
about Nick Saban was an assistant under Bill
Nick
Belichick
Saban was?
with Cleveland. Yeah, he was a defensive coordinator.
yeah.
Oh, okay. If we're saying the
No,
Belichick.
And by the way, he had no
Belichick.
success in the NFL.
None.
He had
None.
success
He
in
went
college.
to Miami. He didn't
He
have
He
has
actually had 2 winning seasons in Miami, though. They just didn't make the playoffs. But I mean, he would.
By the way,
stuck
if
around.
a winning season is deemed success
understand
in the
that,
NFL,
Danny.
I understand that, but we got to be accurate. We got to be fair.
When we were bragging about winning seasons, we were also crying on the inside.
yeah.
You know what I mean? We were.
I
come on.
mean,
Oh, we had a winning season.
right. That was the old Bills. That was the throwback
yes,
Bills. We had a
yes.
winning season. We were
That's
happy.
right. We were happy. Were we
And
not?
Nick Saban then goes to Alabama.
And does an unbelievable job.
Owns the SEC because of all the resources he had, everything he had. He was able to hand pick all the talent, as opposed to have to then go through a drafting process and then have equality. There was no equality, and there's not much quality now with NIL stuff. But there was no equality in college football.
Well,
then.
I think it's harder now with the NIL stuff because if I'm not getting my playing time, the transfer portal. Look, we've seen guys.
He left for
Burrow
that
being
reason.
one, right? Transferred out of Ohio State. But it wasn't as prolific as it is now.
No,
I mean,
that
Buddy
was
Nix.
pre-NIL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Buddy
Pre-NIL.
Nix was pre-NIL, I believe. As
Oh,
well.
yeah?
Oh yeah, guys.
But people are wondering: is Arch Manning going to end up in Carolina? Look,
NIL has destroyed college football.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
Yeah,
fair.
yeah.
It's fair.
Yeah.
It's legal, but it's destroyed college football. The SEC, which was the most dominant conference in college football, has now gotten throttled in bowl games. When was the last time you remembered an entire conference like the SEC ever getting annihilated in bowl games? Now it's happened. Why?
we like
Because those
Big
southern
Ten,
schools,
baby.
those southern schools don't have the capital those Big
Yeah.
Ten schools
Yeah.
do.
yeah.
Because when you think of education, Penn State's a school that you think about.
Yes.
When you think of education, Notre Dame, yes.
Yeah.
Michigan, yes. You don't think of Alabama. You don't think of LSU. You don't think of Florida.
I know.
Ole Miss.
I
You
know.
don't think of Ole Miss. And
Ole
guess
Miss,
what?
I wouldn't, but I would.
Those chickens are coming back to roost because they don't have the alumni network. That's why Saban left. He's like, we don't have that in Alabama. I'm leaving. I'm getting the F out.
Is that what he said on his way out? That would have been the best.
Essentially.
Yeah. But now
Essentially.
he's running Verbos.
The but Notre Dame not even in a conference, still sort of an independent.
never will.
Dame is,
Do we?
man.
Do we?
They have their own
Notre Dame is.
But
They're Notre Dame.
Their ability to raise NIL money
It's
is ridiculous.
it's crazy because they have a
Ridiculous.
really active alumni.
Yeah.
I think that.
Oh
that's
my
part of
God.
it.
Now
And
it's going
very
to. It's
successful.
gone from the athletic schools to now the rich schools.
Very
That's where it's gone.
entrepreneurial, successful
Yes.
alumni too.
Yes. Yep. We'll take a moment.
I wonder if Syracuse is actually going to be one of those schools now
down the
in
line.
football. I don't know what happened with basketball.
First year that football is better than basketball.
Oh,
Like right, first that I
yeah.
can think of in my history. I don't know. We'll take a moment. Something that may prevent you from eating at a food truck ever again. We will get to that after this.
I got a condo in Manhattan.
Just looking at the future, and this will be a concert in the backyard.
Oh, yeah.
Where would the stage be? I think it has to be like over the pool.
You're on the deck.
Oh, right on the deck.
And then we'd be all beneath it. So, what movie was I watching? Oh, I think it was with
Project X.
Kevin Hart. It
Oh.
was Me Time with Kevin Hart. Have you seen that?
I
Seal performed a backyard concert for his buddy. I was
Oh.
like, that's what I envisioned with when I first thought of it. I was like, that's what I want to do with Bruno, but not Bruno Silva.
Or old school and Snoop Dogg showed up in the backyard.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was.
So put
Yes,
the music
yeah.
back on.
Or what was the movie that where she goes back to school with her daughter, and then all of a sudden Christina Aguilera shows up, and they do a backyard concert with Christina Aguilera.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that one. Which one was that?
It's
She's all that.
no, it's not. She's all.
Will,
no.
do you know what that?
It's with Megan McCarthy. I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Am I saying her name right?
Yeah, you got. No, I know what you're
Megan
talking. Melissa McCarthy.
Melissa McCarthy.
Melissa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I forget the name of the movie, but she winds up. They drop their daughter off at college, and then she gets divorced.
Is it back to school?
Well, it's like a back to school.
for the women.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
they have very
Yeah,
similar,
I know
very
exactly.
similar.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
then a young guy takes a shine to her and starts dating her, and he's like, "Yeah, I really love."
It's like a reverse Bill Belichick.
Yes, exactly. I did something yesterday. Jameson has a penchant for going to Goodwill. He likes buying Goodwill clothes, and I said to him, "That's actually recycling." Huh? Say it. Thrifting. He likes thrifting.
Drifting.
And my sister is like so conscientious of like the planet and stuff. She has biodegradable Ziploc bags. They drive an electric car, and she rents her clothes. Never heard of that.
Rent?
There's a company that'll rent. So she gets like a month's worth of clothes that she picks out. They send them to her. And then when she's done, she sends them back and she gets a new, almost like a Stitch Fix, but not when you're not owning it.
That's interesting.
It is. And I went, oh my gosh.
So does she not have any other clothes?
I think she has some that
Like-
she owns, but most
Like
of it
transitional in case
Yeah.
there's a day or two
I
late?
gotta think. I have
Wow.
to think, but
I've
she,
never heard.
I
Dan,
had
you ever
never
heard
heard that.
Never. No.
Never heard that in my life until Thanksgiving this year. And she was telling us. And then when I was down there, she
They're
reminded
in
me.
DC, right?
Yeah. So
yeah, I
there's-
mean, they're a little bit ahead of Rochester in terms of that. I
Well,
think.
but it's also you got to be in that mindset. I'm not in the mindset of
Uh,
renting clothes. So
kidding me? I had the same clothes from 10 years
yeah,
ago.
so
In my closet.
do I, dude.
I just recently learned
There
that
are times-
recycling really doesn't work. That like plastic recycling, like can only recycle like 1/7 of the plastic in the country
Really?
Oh,
or
yeah,
worldwide.
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, most of it is just you're recycling, but they can't do anything with it.
Yeah.
It's a nice thought, but it's trash. It's garbage.
Yeah,
They can't
there's not a
fix
lot
it.
that can happen. I remember seeing
It's
something like that.
disheartening.
Yeah,
It is a little disheartening because I
feel-
try. I always figure this way.
the world's still here though.
I'm going to try to just be a good steward of the planet, right? If I can do it,
Yeah.
I will say I've driven hybrids. I really like them. They don't get a lot of miles to the electric charge, but good enough to get around town and stuff. I'm kind of cool with that.
Yeah, I have a hybrid.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Well, you got an early edition hybrid.
I do have a very early edition hybrid,
Right.
and
I think
I still have it because
Yes.
I haven't gotten rid of it. I'm still holding on.
Luke had a different opinion.
Yeah.
He just made a face. What is? I didn't see. What's that? What happened? Say it right into my. Come here. Okay, there's no camera on you because the cameras are down anyway, so don't even worry about it. What happens every time you accelerate?
It jumps every time you accelerate.
Oh,
yeah, there's no transition.
Oh,
transition
really?
from hybrid to petroleum is.
Do you ever get in an old car and you're like doing
Yes.
manual shifting?
Yes.
It's exactly like that.
yes.
Oh,
Except
wow.
there's no manual
Okay.
shift.
Yeah.
It's really annoying.
Yeah. But so I always try to just go electric till the battery drains,
Yeah.
and then I'll go to hybrid. And usually it's pretty smooth transition on that. But it's a newer model. You were an early adapter, man.
It's 2016.
Yeah, early adapter.
I still have it.
Yeah.
Still
That's
have it.
wow. That's really early. That's almost 10 years old.
Yeah. It's got 200,000 miles on it.
Really?
You're getting usage out of it.
I don't, I want to do what's right for my
I
environment.
hear you. I hear you. So I yesterday was going to do what good for my environment. I'm in Goodwill. I'm waiting. He actually took a cart full of clothes and goes to try them on, see what fits, see what doesn't. So I'm walking around and I go, I don't have a crock pot. I'm going to get a crock pot. I see a crock pot for $10. And then in the store, I say to him, I put it in his cart. I go, I'm going to get this. He goes, why? I says, make food. Well, you got basketball. I got this. I could just put it on slow cook. He goes, crock pot food is disgusting. I will not eat it.
Why is that one guy said it's gross?
No, okay.
Why is it gross?
My wife cooks out of a crock
Go over
pot
on
all the
that
time.
microphone and say why it's gross.
Why
And
is
then-
it gross? Because it's just it's a slow cooking
It's a slow
process.
cook.
It cooks when you're not
Chili.
home. So when it's already cooked. You don't have
Yeah.
to do anything.
Yes.
That's
now,
the idea. My wife
will-
uses at least one crock pot meal a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So Jameson said to me, nobody likes crockpot food.
Nobody likes
Ask anybody. Ask anybody. And I
under the age
Under
of
the age of 15.
said, I go,
right.
I'm not asking anybody. And he's in the store.
food gross, right? Yes, see?
So bad. They're
Yeah.
saying so bad. Your son
Yeah.
and his girlfriend so bad.
Audie and
So-
Lukey are. But
want-
again, they're still in college.
You haven't had pulled pork until you've had crock pot.
I
pork.
think, yeah, like slow cooked. Jameson then says to me, ask anybody here, ask anybody. I go, I'm not asking anybody. So he walks up to some woman and goes, excuse me, may I ask you a question?
Just like his father
And
was.
she looks at him like all bewildered. And he goes, crockpot food's disgusting, right?
And how old is this person?
And she looked like she was in her early 20s. And her answer was,
Yeah. Or no.
no, she said it was not disgusting.
Oh, okay.
She was
No,
not. He
but
goes,
she,
okay.
looked like she was 30, and she looks like
Oh,
she lives
30,
in an
wow.
ingredient.
Also, that's
household.
begging the
In
question.
an
It's leading the
ingredient
witness.
household?
Yeah, like when you open the fridge, you got carrots and stuff. Like you don't got no food, you have ingredients. Like,
Oh,
you know.
ingredient household.
Whoa.
I didn't know what an ingredient household was.
I guess what I'm going to
But
say.
no, I don't think anybody.
Talk into that because it's
Chili's nasty to me. I think chili's.
Why is
disgusting.
chili
Chili
na-
with beans is gross? Beans is disgusting. It's the worst food ever.
So what he's saying is that
It's
anything
mushy.
that requires you to actually make food
Yes.
is not good.
Right.
He wants to have the food already made.
Oh, pre-made.
easy.
No. I'm not saying that. I think that chili's nasty though. I don't like beans.
Jameson does cook, makes a mess, but cooks.
But I think I hate it. I hate chili so much. At least with the chili.
Yeah,
beans.
I was never a big chili guy until
Okay.
now that I'm older.
Yeah,
And I only eat chili like between January and March.
that's it. That's the only time I'll
Yeah,
eat
no,
it too.
no, no one's
That
eating
is-
chili in the summer.
That is my
yeah, I mean tailgates between like
Is
the cold
Is
tailgates.
corned beef crock pot food?
corned beef
Can
can
be.
be.
Can
Yes.
be.
Alright, If
Yes.
it's corned beef, then that's okay. But I don't know. Nothing else.
All right.
Yeah, for me it's like the
That's-
cold weather tailgate games where you want to have warm food that's actually warm
Yeah.
that's chili for me.
Yeah.
Mid-December,
Mhm.
early December to February.
Yes. I
If
go.
it's a cold wet March,
I
maybe
can
during
go-
NCAA basketball,
Yes. I
with
can
some
go for that
beer
with a beer and a
around,
some
St.
chili.
Patty's Day.
Nice
But
little piece of bread to dunk in there.
yeah,
Come on,
there
Daddy.
you go.
Come on. That's
Eat it
right.
up. Eat
Putting
it up.
those pounds on.
Those cars. Gotta get my winter weight.
It is. Well, see, I worry about the winter weight. That's my mission. Is I'm taking it off. I got to get back.
Remember what? You know what Friday is? Quitters Day.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah,
This Friday?
yeah. They always call it Quitters Day. It's so funny because we joined the Y back in the fall. I went to go.
Young man.
I decided to go. I was going to try.
Thursday, January 2nd.
I did go Thursday.
And was it jam packed?
Jam packed to the
Yeah.
point where I couldn't find anything. So I went
Yeah.
up on a.
It's like Josh Allen here.
That was the day.
Yeah, right.
That was the day, Greg. I was going to go do something I've never done because I'm like, you know what? I'm going to challenge myself to do something that I know is going to make me uncomfortable just to walk in. and I was going to go do Pilates. A Pilates class. I walked into the Pilates class, and the place is so packed. I just stood there, and the woman comes by and goes, "Hi, there's a spot over in the corner there." I go, "No, there's not." I walked out, and I got on an elliptical for 45 minutes and did that instead.
Yeah.
I just thought it would be something different that I couldn't do. I'll tell you the worst one I've ever done. I did a bar class once. Did you ever do bar? Bar is like,
I've done a bar class.
Yeah, well, Molly Flaherty
the last one I did was at Mulconnery's.
bar to bar. They used to do like a bar exercise class and then right to a bar afterwards. But this was a class where you're like on your back and you've got those rings that you squeeze and you're supposed to lay there with your legs up and all this. And it's all women and it's all tight yoga pants. I didn't know where to look. I was so uncomfortable in that class. Everything was birth canal.
When was this?
This was probably, God, it was just like, I'm looking up birth canal. I go, I don't even know where to go. I'm not a dentist. I can't fix your.
What year was this?
Camel toes.
When was
this had to be 2012, 2014.
Toes and humps.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, not a manicurist, ladies. I can't fix your camel toe. I was like everywhere.
For me, I don't have the flexibility.
Well, see, I want to get that.
Well, at our age, and I say this, but at our age, the biggest issue is flexibility. It's not necessarily weight training. It's not strength muscle training. It's all flexibility.
Well, they do tell women strength training is important. And I think strength training, even for you clearly do strength
That's
training.
what I do. I don't do flexibility.
I don't know about that. But the flexibility, as I'm watching my parents, I'm going, I don't want to have these issues. And I think flexibility would help, I believe.
Same thing with my 84-year-old. 83-year-old.
Looks great.
83-year-old mother. No, the joke is, for everybody that's listening, is that I posted on Instagram last night. My mom wanted an espresso martini, so I didn't want to drink alone, so I made one for myself as well. And I always tease her about her age. I've been saying she's 84 for the last 2 years. She finally turns 84 in October of 2025, and so I said, "Here's to 84." So everybody thought it was her birthday.
Everybody did.
A bunch of people were like, "Happy birthday to your mom." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's actually me being a smart ass who's a kid, her son." So, but yeah, that was my attempt at being funny.
We talk about now. One of the things people will do tailgating, chili, right? Also, sometimes you'll see food trucks up there. You grab something from the food truck. Somebody was in a borough of New York City, and they're what?
I don't even want to know.
What do you mean? What?
Oh.
So somebody, apparently this turns out to be a company that has a number of food trucks and they send them out around the city. And this was in Queens, and a woman notices the guy leave the back of the food truck and throw out some food for pigeons and then try to grab one.
No.
Yes.
A pigeon or the food?
A pigeon.
Oh.
So then he misses. So she starts filming, and there is on the internet film of the guy grabbing a pigeon and putting it in a bag and getting back into the food truck. And they are trying to do a fire. The company fired the guy, said he was a fill-in guy. He wasn't their guy. And somebody else said in his society, what country he's from, pigeons are considered,
a delicacy.
Not even a delicacy, Danny. Like, they're there to help the birds. Like they try to help birds, and this bird was injured and he was trying to nurse it back. He wasn't trying to nurse it back. And it makes me wonder, how many times have we eaten something that we have no idea?
Oh, dude.
Like, if you knew. Do you know what I'm saying? If you knew. Now,
there's been times I've been in restaurants and I've thought that just what are they giving me? I order this.
That's why I never send anything back.
Well,
I tell Beth, don't send anything back. If it sucks, it sucks. But get something else.
I have food allergies, right?
Okay.
I have allergic reactions to dairy and butter.
Really?
Particularly butter.
Okay.
And I go in and I tell the waitress all the time, and there are times, and I can tell. I mean, it's a relatively quick response.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these freaking people are like, does he really have a butter allergy?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah. It's a bad way to be. It's a business.
But it's like, but
it's not anaphylactic. Is it for you? You don't.
No, no, it's not that. Thank goodness. But it's just like, you're in New York City. I mean, you're in Manhattan. You're in Midtown Manhattan. How many locals are going to the,
none.
Peter Luger?
None.
Nobody.
None.
Who's going to Prime Steakhouse? Just the people who are tourists like me.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit.
Right.
I'm like, well, and I say like because a lot of restaurants, the greatest steaks always have they have their their peppercorn rub or Cajun rub, but they do it with butter. And so I always ask, do they have a butter? Do they use a butter rub? No, I don't think so. And it's like, 10 minutes later, I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. That's no, that's terrible.
Brutal. Yeah. So you talk about this with the food trucks. There's nothing better in Rochester for me.
I love a food truck
from like Memorial Day through Labor Day, or Halloween.
Yeah,
like going to a food truck, getting some food truck food. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's great.
But no one's grabbing a pigeon. So allegedly, the health department stepped in. They went all through the truck. They found no pigeon anything. Nothing tested this pigeon. No one knows. But it is one of these things. I don't know. Maybe there's some parts of the world that pigeons are a delicacy. Who knows? This gentleman was somebody that I think President Trump will probably send back. And but we had it down in Syracuse with the swans. Somebody grabbed the swan out of whatever swan pond, and they found out that the family took the female swan and ate it.
The mother
ate the mother. Yeah. So I don't know, but this guy. So this woman had this whole thing, and
there are restaurants that serve duck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes. And duck is for some people a real delicacy. It's a little greasy for me.
Wait, once. Some have frog.
Well, think about fast food. I mean,
snails, crickets.
If they actually showed you like Jamie Oliver did a whole thing about chicken McNuggets, and how they make chicken McNuggets, and it really is a waste paste of the waste innards of chicken turned into a paste. Oh, it's chicken and it's sausage, but it's not exactly what you. It's not like you're going to like one of our buddies there and getting the sausage like hand cut. No, this chicken is like made from like innards and waste, and it's turned into a paste, and they make it like they bake it into little nuggets. And that's what you're eating. So what do you think? I mean, if you go to McDonald's, you're eating this crap all the time.
Pigeon.
Hey,
among other things.
All I gotta say is I hope our favorite chef, Danny.
Yeah.
Danny Wegman.
Yeah.
I hope his chicken nuggets that we all ate tonight or this afternoon.
Oh, those are the chicken tenders.
No, that's just chicken tenders. I'm sorry.
No,
there's a way to tell. There's a way to tell.
Okay. The nuggets, the smaller thing that they usually do take.
Like if it's a really fine, like chicken, like really cut really tiny pieces, then you know it's a paste.
Okay.
If it's long strands, it's real. It's legit.
All right.
Yeah. You can get legit.
Okay. I'm glad that our chef.
No, I'm talking about McDonald's.
He did do it right. Of course he did it right. All right. What do we it looks like Denver's up 24-0.
24.
So we would assume that it will be Denver that the Bills play next week.
Yes.
In Buffalo.
Yeah.
And then we don't know what time or anything yet.
No, that will come out probably tonight. They'll make us sit through and why wouldn't we? The Vikings Detroit game.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna be a fun one. It should be. We say that. And then
who do you like in that game? Because I'm hearing a lot of people like the Vikings in this one.
It's in Detroit, right?
It's in Detroit.
It's in Detroit, but I still hear they like the Vikings. I don't know. I mean, like, would this be the redemption for Sam Darnold?
The reason. Go ahead, Dan.
No.
The reason why they like the Vikings is because the Detroit Lions defense is so decimated with injuries that it's not the same defense.
They lead the NFL
in injuries. Yeah.
Think about that. Usually a top tier team, is pretty low in injuries because, everybody's healthy. But no, they lead the NFL in guys on injured reserve right now.
I'm sure
they're one of the best teams in the league.
I'm sure if you watch the game tonight, they're going to tell you, I think there's one or two starters in week 1 that are playing tonight for the Detroit defense.
Okay.
Everybody else is injured. Mm-hmm. There's 9 guys that are out.
Up. They're banged up pretty bad. Here's the other thing too. And I know that there's an opportunity for our favorite coach there, Coach Campbell, to do something and take a chance when he shouldn't take a chance.
Oh, and he will.
And that chance implodes.
Yeah.
And Minnesota goes and wins the football game. And then they point back to that. And in the post-game press conference, he goes, I own it, which he will.
Yeah.
But that's what Detroit does.
But I really
That's what the Lions do.
Hang on a second.
I like them too.
I like that you're willing to put your balls on the line. Don't you want that?
Yes, but
have faith in the guys.
Calculated, though. If he had kicked the field goal against the Niners last year instead of going for it, he may have been
How about the onside kicks against the Bills?
But that was announced. I mean, there was no.
It is announced. You're right.
And he did it a little soon. He didn't have to do it with 11 minutes to go in the game.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's an odd time to do
He
it.
wanted to catch. Look, football is about momentum.
Yeah.
Right. It's all about capturing that. And he wanted to change it. And that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Because look, if he didn't do it there, if they would have gotten in that situation, that whole game would have turned. And by the way, they ended up making it interesting at the end. It was still in control, but it was at least interesting. When Tomlin last night, Tomlin, their game, he went for it. And why? Because it's about momentum. It's about getting it done. I love freaking Dan Campbell. If I was a coach, I would be the exact same way.
Yeah, I'm impressed because I think when he first started, there were a lot of people making fun of him. We're going to break kneecaps. We're going to do this.
Because he didn't come off as a polished, analytical-minded head coach. He came off as an ex-jock.
Came off like a rockhead. Yeah, and then but it turned out not
like
to be.
Most of us football players are. he also the other thing the other thing about him that was interesting is that he was the exact opposite of Bill Belichick, who had a distinguished career for 20 plus years, who was like
never played in the NFL,
the dean of coaching in the NFL,
the art of saying nothing.
And Campbell was the exact opposite of that. And he's entertaining and he's fun. He's got attention.
He beat the Bills as an interim coach in Miami. It beat him bad.
Oh, I do remember that. I do remember.
And he never got another head coaching shot until he got to Detroit, which was years later.
Yeah.
For me, when I look at this game tonight, it's in Detroit. Football is about emotions.
Yeah.
And if you come and you can be a lesser talented team, but if you have an emotion and a fight and a tenacity and an energy that supersedes your opponent, you'll win, even though you're not as talented.
Well,
the one thing Campbell brings,
the
one thing Campbell brings to the table in any game he plays is, I think his team, his guys are emotionally more prepared than the other team.
Okay,
and I like that.
Yeah.
So when it comes to a one-game performance, and he doesn't make, they don't have any turnovers, Detroit wins this game.
Yeah, it's two different coaching styles when I think about it. Like Kevin O'Connell seems a little more, at least by comparison.
Cerebral. No, he is cerebral. He's an offensive genius.
Yeah.
Campbell's not an offense. He's not. I don't want to say he's not a genius. He's an NFL head coach. You got to be pretty damn bright to be an NFL head coach. But Campbell didn't come off as a guy who had this great system, and they're like, I want this system implemented. He came off as like a Parcells type, where I'm a no nonsense guy. I'm here to crack skulls. Here we go. That he came from the Ditka mold, right? Where it's not my brain, it's just my attitude.
Yeah.
But the thing that helps Campbell is that, and also it helped Billy Beane build the Oakland Athletics, is that he is the best athlete in the organization. So he'll challenge his players to run sprints. He'll do all the exercises. Like they know he can go toe to toe with them.
Did you see the video of him?
No.
That I think it was in training camp where he actually got down.
He was doing burpees with the players.
He actually, without pads, did one-on-ones with the defensive line. Without pads.
I did not see that.
Well, it was freaking fantastic.
He did it all. He's insane.
Fantastic.
But that's why they love him, because he's an ex-player who could get down with them, and he's still in great shape.
So I'm saying that both of you guys are picking the Lions.
I'm taking the Vikings.
You're taking the Vikings.
Yeah,
so why?
And I'm taking the Lions.
Yeah.
And if the Lions don't turn the ball over, they win.
Okay.
If the Lions turn the ball over, I think the Vikings will take it.
Here's what's really sad. The Vikings have been the Vikings and the Chiefs have been the consensus best teams in their respective conferences throughout the entire season. Say what you want about how the Chiefs have won. They've only had one loss. You can't, it's Buffalo.
Right, yeah.
You can't kill them for that.
No.
All right. But the Lions, we talked about the injuries. The Lions have been the consensus best team in the NFC. And if they lose tonight and drop from a 1 seed to a 5, that's a travesty. That's a tragedy.
Oh, it changes.
And it's not their fault.
Well, it does.
It's not their fault.
Yeah, but man, wouldn't you like to see the I would kind of
great.
Yeah.
It's probably the best regular season finale in NFL history.
Lions are a better story. The Lions are a better story than the Vikings. Vikings are boring. They're just good.
All right, I'll take that. For Greg Connors and Ferris, for Dan Barillo, who is with me in Minnesota.
I'll probably be wrong.
I'll probably be wrong then too. And for Greg with his AFC East champion hat on, I'm Bill Moran. We'll see you tomorrow.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
California, baby, things have gotten worse. Seems a land of opportunity for me is just a curse. Tell that judge he make us feel. I'm tired of have to wait. Down here they're looking for a Cadillac with Tennessee plate.